either. Most people don't know, but the gulags in Russia were not simply prison camps. They were a large part of the way that industry was run there until the 1960s, so that's not more than 50 years ago. These were huge factories where they made planes, cars, rubber boots and whatever. They built entire cities, just putting people to work and do useful stuff for the industrialists, for the people that ran that business. And it was very low cost because these people were fed barely nothing. And you could rape and do everything with them. That was a very cruel regime under Stalin. And it was basically repeated under Hitler, because also under Hitler these work camps were made. But it's a pattern. It's more a pattern where the industrial interests are more important and better served, and at the cost of the lives of individuals that do not have the sensibility or the courage to stand up and do something. Because of course in the times of Russia, these people would go around the city and get people off their beds in the middle of the night, and nobody would object, while you have thousands of people in the city, of course, and a few people doing the razzias. It's funny to read that until the end of the last century, I think 1800 something like that, merchant ships were also slave ships. Everybody that was on a merchant ship working was basically a slave, because you couldn't leave. And you would be, made to drink a lot, and then you would be captured. And these jobs were so unattractive, or they didn't want to pay any wages, so they just put these. Basically kidnapped people, and there had to be special laws introduced to no longer allow forced labor on these ships. The whole export and transport sector was basically a slave business run by slaves. And you have this today, where Japanese fishing vessels that fish, in the regions of Africa and the coast not on the, let's say, the west coast, but the east coast of Africa. Those are slave ships too, because you get kidnapped as an African. You are put on the ship to clean the fish and everything, because they are like floating factories, and you never get off the ship, never again. And if you try to escape, you get shot. That's what happens if you go beyond the horizon. If you don't have law and order, then you get businesses saying, okay, well, here's an opportunity. I got some assholes here, some suckers. I can bully them into working for me. If they, that's just, you get back to medieval methods. And it's not very long ago that these methods are applied. Actually, they are applied today as we speak. So I think it's a good idea to do something about that. And I have a proposal, which is to have a general strike. I guess that would be the only action that would be able to reset the US to a sensible mode. Right now, it's a rogue state. There's no justice. Financially unreliable. It won't be able to buy anything in a few years' time. And it will have to rely on labor, and it will be completely misdirected, because these food industries are completely missing the point of not having oil available. So there will be lots of poverty and hunger, and people won't be able to do anything, because they will be controlled by companies that want to kind of eke out the most and make a profit. And these companies need to be removed from power. Basically, you don't have to remove a politician from power. You have to remove companies from power, and influences of industry from power. That's what they have the power. The banking industry, the oil industry, Monsanto food industry. They have to be removed. And to do that, you have to demand several things. One of them is, you have to have a strike, a general strike. Everybody participates. For campaign finance reform, so you can have a political system again, so you can have representatives again. So that means that, and I have a good date for it, it's December 11th, so that's 12/11, which is the birthday of Solzhenitsyn, who wrote the Gulag Archipelago book, where he revealed what happens in those gulags, because nobody knew. You see, you can be stuck somewhere across the horizon in Guantanamo or Abu Ghraib or somewhere in Africa, and nobody knows what's happening to you. And you'll be working your ass off, and people in the US will be buying very cheap running shoes and saying, well, that's a good deal. I can buy Nikes for $100. Great, but you have been slaving there your whole life to do that. That's the situation that can occur. And only if you have a working legal system and a judiciary that is sensible will you have a chance to escape from that. So, let's say my point is, start a general strike on December the 11th and continue striking until you have campaign finance reform. Then continue on striking until you have a judiciary review of the recently introduced laws, and that means the last 50 years, where you throw out everything that favors industries. Repeal, continue to strike until you have, until you get a decree or some, let's say, some of those written commands by the president, abolishing any privacy status and individual status of corporations, because they shouldn't have them. And then I guess you're on your way, because then also you have noticed that everybody agrees with you and everybody is frustrated about it. And then try to figure out how you should build communities to sustain yourself without oil. What structure should they have, and what land do you need, and who has the land, and how, redistribute it. Make sure that everybody has what they need to, with their right common sense and mind, manage local communities to grow food and work and prosper. Just fragment the whole system and make sure that you get the banks too, but that's automatic in this whole process. So December the 11th, I completely insignificant here on YouTube, call for a general strike and just stop working. And don't worry about the police officers, because they will stop working too. Make sure that everybody stops working until you get a government, until you get your government back. And what to do with the representatives that are in power now? I guess replace them. And that will be very difficult, so you need another election. And in that election you cannot have widely advertised marketing campaigns, but you need to strike and demand that the TV stations and the media have 2 hours in the evening for anybody that wants to come up and talk about politics. They cannot sell that airtime. It's not a commercial thing, politics, because if you make it commercial, you corrupt people, and by corrupting people you make the legal system decrepit, defunct, and if you do that you end up with companies taking their whatever opportunity they see, and that means that you will be on slave ships, in slave camps, in gulags again. And that's why December 11th, the birthday of the guy from the Gulag Archipelago book, is such a good opportunity. I'm always about good ideas, so here's one.